So I see a majority for like 700 million worth of food. It's actually like 7 billion worth of food, which is avoidable in Canada alone in the hospitality industry. It's a huge number, and there is not a single solution to prevent food surplus. There are like many solutions. The issue is so huge. It's like $7 billion across Canada. However, there are only 3% of restaurants who are actually measuring food waste on a regular basis, like as part of the regular operation. We have a great panel of speakers on the menu today. So we have TJ, who is chef and owner at Ono Vancouver, based in the Okanagan right now. Michelle, who is executive director at Vancouver Food Runners, based in Vancouver. Myself, based in Vancouver, co-founder and director at Rethink Together, and Katia, who is a district sales manager at Cisco in Edmonton. And just before we start, I'd like to acknowledge that this webinar is being recorded on the unceded territory of the Musqueam, the Squamish, and the Tsleil-Waututh Nations. And I invite anyone to identify which territories are located on. And just to kick off this webinar today, so it's going to be moderated by myself. So I'm an accredited consultant for the Pledge on Food Waste and co-founder and director at Rethink Together. Rethink Together, we are a food sustainability consultancy based in Vancouver with expertise in food waste prevention. And we are on a mission to help commercial kitchens prevent food waste and improve their bottom line. Which is aligned with our vision to create a world where avoidable food waste no longer exists. And really what we focus is on prevention, because that's where you have the highest return on investment, even though like it's great to compost and it's something that is important to do, but that's where you have the lowest return on investment and the lowest basically impact. But really like going upstream in the waste hierarchy is definitely important. So we are not specialized in food redistribution, but really about how to implement practices to prevent food waste in the first place. And our solutions are basically, we have like food waste expertise, a food waste monitoring app, and a food waste certification that can help save hotels and restaurants thousands of dollars. And here is like just testimonials of one of the users of the technology we provide. And just to make it more concrete, I'd like to share a quick video. So yeah, so just to present you a little bit about the technology we're providing, and if you have any interest in this one, I'll be happy to share more information. And there's a 45-day free trial for what I wanted to share as an intro, and then I will let the floor to Chef TJ from Ono Vancouver, and who is going to present like his expertise related to menu design and banquets organization. So TJ, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. My name is TJ. I am the chef owner of a food consulting company called Ono Vancouver. I'm right now in the Okanagan in at a farm, but I'm actually based in Vancouver. I have been a chef for 23 years and made my way through many different restaurants and hotels up until, well, most recently at the Delta Vancouver Suites by Marriott. I was the executive chef for about 4 years, and then now I had my own company. I Since COVID, I actually also have been cooking for many different charities, and with the help of community partners like Vancouver Food Runners, we've been able to divert about seven tons or 7 to 8 tons of food waste, and as well as I've been able to cook about 280,000 meals for many different uh, charities in Vancouver. Yeah, I wanted to share a little bit about my system on how I have been able to curb food waste in when I go into a restaurant, when I take over as an executive chef, or when I go in a consultant to many different food businesses. I usually work with a system that starts from the ordering and then also the prepping. So whoever, when there's a cook that's going to ask me about how much to give, I usually give a almost like a Bible. So I would have something like this posted on my. You'll see it on the slide right now, which is basically quantities guideline on how much each person is how much we think that a person would eat. It's all about coming up with your own system. This whole system that I've started has been in the works for probably 15 years or so that you can tweak from learning experiences. But really, if you don't have anything like this that starts you from ordering things, starts you from making sure you order the right amount, and also give your cooks sort of like a Bible that will tell them how much to be able to produce. It would be a bit of a disaster in the back end there. That's when you end up throwing things in the bin, and also your labor. Your labor is going to be high. So as you know, for especially for hotels, 23% to 30% labor is it's about how much you can play with. So it's not only the food cost, you're also being able to help your labor costs. So from a quantity guideline, it goes on to a prep list that will show each of your. You want to show the next slide? So each of your cooks, how. So this goes with a lot of planning. So you would have to have this posted before your cooks go into the kitchen, so that when they see the banquet event orders or any event orders, they'll know how much exactly to. Not exactly, obviously there's some give and take there, but um, they'll know exactly how much has been ordered for them, how much they know, how much prep they need to do. So then this way you're able to control everything that's not only going to help you with efficiency, but also going to help to save the environment. Really, as a chef, it is very important that you're not only just thinking about what it is right now, but what you're thinking about the next people after you. So if you teach younger and less experienced cooks how to manage like the food waste, you're also helping the environment by raising people that care about sustainability of seafood, sustainability of the environment. So yeah, so for me, it's all about having that system, and with the help of programs that Rethink and other people out there, hopefully we're on our way.
Great. Thank you so much, CJ. And could you maybe share like an example of how you've used menu design to like minimize food waste and based on your experience?
So, like I said, it's always about thinking ahead. So if you're just if you get some if you get a menu and all of a sudden you just kind of like throwing things out there, you'll end up having to not only like now you have to order everything that you eat because you didn't think about what you already have in house or what you can use up or what other things what your staff capabilities are. Then you're already started at a loss, right? And also, so for me, when I get a request, I would really say, okay, can you give me a minute? And then now I have to either I already know my inventory, what I have, and also the type of people I have, and then I will base my menu design based on those, not just like, I mean, I understand I have a lot of creativity, but I have to hone that in with everything else because otherwise I'm just ordering foie gras and, everything out there. And, and next thing you know, all my cost is high.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing, TJ. It's great learning and great to see it from like a chef with a lot of experience. So thank you for doing this and for the positive impact you have in our community.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. So next we're gonna move to Michelle, who is gonna share us more about the Vancouver food runners. And Michelle, you can share your slides.
Sure. Hold on here. Okay. Oh. Hold on. Thanks. Okay. All right, are we seeing it now? Okay, good. Okay, great. Lovely to see you, everybody. Ben, thank you so much for this opportunity to share about Vancouver Food Runners. So Vancouver Food Runners, we are a local nonprofit in Vancouver, obviously, and we bridge that disconnect between surplus food in the food business industry, whether it's hotels or working with wholesalers, bakeries, manufacturers. We work with urban farms. And then we use technology and our team of Vancouver drivers, our volunteers, to get this surplus food to our network of community partners in Vancouver. So right now, we're relatively new. We started in March 2020, just as COVID was starting. And since then, we have redirected over 588,000 pounds of food, which is equivalent to almost 500,000 meals. And right now we're averaging about 70,000 pounds of surplus food per month. And the average volunteer is picking up about 145 pounds of food per food rescue. And then not only is this food obviously is getting to our community partners and people in the community who are food insecure, but we're also helping the environment at the same time because this food is not going to the landfill and it's not producing methane. As I mentioned before, we have about over 1,000 volunteers now registered on our app. We have 130 food donors and 65 community partners. So we've been growing rapidly and we've been really noticing there's a need for this type of program in Vancouver. And the technology actually comes from Pittsburgh. So it was developed by an organization called 421 Food Rescue. And they have actually sort of a similar size to Vancouver. And they launched the app in that city in 2016. And it's incredible what they've done over the last 5 years. So last year, if you look at their numbers for that city, they almost rescued 8 million pounds of food, which is equivalent to over 6 million meals. They're mitigating over 3 million pounds of carbon dioxide from the environment. They have over 10,000 volunteers registered on their app, 740 food donors, and 820 community partners. So it's incredible what this program has become for the landscape in Pittsburgh, and we're hoping to do the same thing in Vancouver. We really want to normalize the donation of surplus food. And there's other food recovery programs out there. A lot of them are using larger trucks and they're incredible, but the difference in our program is that we use technology, our app, and then we also use volunteers. So this is allowing us to scale quickly, and it keeps our program costs very low. And it also allows us, given that we have so many different volunteers, they're agile and they can go to different places quickly. So we're starting to bring on new food donors. So we're looking at catering companies and restaurants and urban farms and cafes and bakeries. And if you're working with larger trucks, it's not efficient nor scalable to actually get these trucks to these smaller businesses. So this is an opportunity for these food businesses to participate in surplus food donation. The other interesting thing is we can focus on fresh food. So we have a 1-to-1 donor to recipient match. So basically we try to match, if we have a food donor and a community partner, we try to match them as close as possible. So that food is only in transit for about 15 minutes. Sometimes it's only 5 blocks. So, that food is going to be fresh. We can track it in the back end to see that, make sure it's in transit just for food quality and food safety. So I'd say over 95% of the food that we pick up is actually fresh, which is really needed by our community partners. It also allows us to distribute food to a lot of different community partners across the city. We have sort of one food bank in Vancouver. It's difficult for the community to get to this food bank, whereas we can distribute to a lot of different food programs across the city. So this allows people living in different parts of the community to access food more easily. Okay, so this is just shows you what the app looks like. You can see for a volunteer, you can see the rescues, the little icons here, you can click and see the details about the rescue and whether it works with your schedule and if you want to claim it. And then if you do decide to claim the rescue, all the details are there for you in the app, and you can see the location. You have mapping software in there, the little help button at the top. You can connect with us at any point during your rescue. We have a logistics coordinator who's on all the time during the day. So if you ever, you get stuck, just reach out and we can help you. And then there's also social media tools built into the app as well. Okay, and so right now, over the last year and a half, we've grown to about 130 active food donor partners. So we're working with Terra Breads and Tractor Foods, Legends Hall, JW Marriott, Safeway, Livia is a local restaurant that's popular, Fresh Direct Produce. So a lot of local businesses that if you're living in Vancouver, you're likely familiar with. Okay, and then in terms of becoming a food donor, it's incredibly easy. So basically we just onboard you into our system. That's going to take about 5-10 minutes. We have some basic questions. And then whenever you have a food donation, you can just call or text us. Because your information is already in the system, we can usually find you a volunteer on the same day. So if you call us in the morning, we can usually get you a volunteer for the afternoon. If you call us in the afternoon, we can usually pick it up in the morning for you. So it's very quick, easy. And then we match that donation to a nearby community partner because we want to keep our carbon footprint low. We want that food in transit for, less than 10 minutes. The rescue is loaded onto the app and the volunteer can claim it. So it's very straightforward. And yeah, so for as a food donor, you want to always make sure your eyes on safety. So as I said before, we're tracking the food rescues as it's happening, sort of like we envision ourselves sort of as like Uber Eats for free surplus food powered by volunteers. And if you're already working with a larger food recovery organization that has trucks, if you have an ad hoc, we have a little bit of extra of this, you can give us a call so we can get a volunteer to you quickly. We have a 1% cancellation rate just because we have so many volunteers. Our rescues are claimed quite easily. Some of your food donors might not know this, but we actually in BC, we have the Food Donor Encouragement Act. So this actually ensures liability protection for all food donated in good faith. And we make sure, we go the next step by, tracking that food as it is in real time during the rescue. And again, we try to keep the food donors and community partners as close as possible by distance. Okay, and so, we're flexible enough for some of our partners. We have, for instance, Safeway, we pick up every morning at 8 o'clock at one location, always a volunteer, the same volunteer every Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Friday. But then again, we can also do the ad hoc rescues as well. So, for Terra Breads, we pick up at all 4 of their locations. We do, over 25 rescues for them per week. So we have different relationships with different partners. So we can do something more structured, or we can do something, obviously more casual. And we track all of our data. So we have the pounds, we have the number of rescues, we know where your food is going, which community partners, and we can provide reports either monthly or yearly. And a lot of partners like this, just to be able to share this information with their own company or the public as well. Their patrons and clients like to know this information too. Okay, and then this is a nice picture of all of our various food rescue heroes in action. So over here we have, this is some of the employees at Tractor Foods packing up food for us. Here we have Directions Youth Services dropping off some milk. I believe that was from Sun Given Foods. This is Kids Safe. They're one of our amazing community partners. They work with vulnerable kids connected to the Vancouver school system. Fresh Slice has been an ongoing partner with us. And this is another donation from, I believe that is from Winset Farms going to Kids Safe. So we have lots of partners and lots of food donors, and it's really been exciting to see the program take off over the last 18 months. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Michelle, and thank you for the amazing impact you have in our community. It's really great to have such an organization who is making a difference. So
Thanks.
Thank you for that. And I don't know if you have any questions among the participants. Feel free to put them in the Q&A section, and we can also have a quick round at the end. But maybe I'd like to ask you, like, what was the biggest success and the biggest challenge you've experienced over the last year?
Oh, I think the success, I think how quickly everyone has become excited about the program. So that it's sort of a win-win-win. So the community partners are so excited to receive this extra food. We just did a community partner survey, and the feedback has been wonderful. New programs have been started. Better food is getting dropped off to them. Expanding their program, they've been able to, their clients are saying that they're spending less money on food. So that's been incredible. Food donors are so grateful when our volunteers are just come and are able to utilize their surplus food. So that's been wonderful. The volunteers are excited to be able to do something so impactful within 1 hour, and something that can fit into their schedule at any time. And on any given day, there's usually a couple of rescues that might work with their schedule. So it's just been really exciting to see how the program has taken off. And I'd say challenges, it's finding the balance between, sometimes we have a big influx of volunteers, and then you need to push on getting more food donors. And then sometimes, if the volunteers, like summertime, the volunteers, some regular volunteers are going on a holiday. So it's that balance between volunteers and food donors. You're always sort of managing that flux. So yeah.
Great, thanks for sharing, Michelle.
Yeah, thank you.
And so yeah, thank you. So we're gonna switch then to Katya, who is a district sales manager at Cisco Alberta, and who is gonna basically share the work she's doing. So maybe I wanna ask you, like, who are you, and why is it important for Cisco to be like an eco-friendly food supplier? And if you could share a bit about the CSR goals of the company as well, that's really great.
Absolutely. Well, first I want to say thank you, Ben, for having me on this platform. So who am I? My name is Katya Dorian. I'm the district sales manager for Cisco Alberta North. So why is it important for Cisco to be an eco-friendly food supplier? Well, Cisco is committed to creating a positive change in our organization, the environment, and the communities that we serve. It's a commitment that ultimately enhances the value of our business to our customers. Protecting our planet is one we've worked towards since our inception 50 years ago, from expanding sustainable agricultural practices to reducing our carbon footprint and delivering more goods safely while generating fewer emissions. We also remain committed to reducing waste across our operations. We feel these practices not only enhance our associated engagement in the workplace, but it delivers on our value proposition of delivering success to our customers through industry-leading solutions. So you asked what are the CSR goals of Cisco related to food waste? While diverting food waste from emitting greenhouse gas emissions released in the landfills. We are in pursuit of our 2025 goal to divert 90% of our operations and food waste from landfill. Food waste represents a critical area for collaboration and incremental progress. With recycling organics infrastructure unevenly available in our area, we are focusing on establishing best practices internally and how to best manage our organic waste. Our food waste management and our eco-conscious initiatives have allowed us to develop new partnerships with our community members. And in turn, it's helped reduce our carbon footprint by diverting food from going to the landfill. And it's also enhanced our partnerships with our customers using circular principles of reduce, reuse, and recycle.
And what would you say like the main actions you're taking to minimize food waste, and what are kind of the priorities for the restaurant industry right now?
Yeah. So kind of in breaking down the activities surrounding the 3R principles of the reduce, reuse, recycle, Cisco spent much of our fiscal 2020 piloting several approaches, including meal donations to understand what we can implement across our locations in a way that is impactful, that's locally driven, and that's scalable. The COVID pandemic crisis brought hunger back on the front page, and it helped us better partner to provide food to those struggling the most. We worked closely with suppliers, customers, and other entities on diverting food to outlets and donation sites. On a national level, Cisco partnered with Second Harvest on initiatives that supported food redistribution efforts across the supply chain. And it supported tens of thousands of community organizations across the country struggling to access food. On a local level, Cisco Alberta did the very same thing. We partnered with local food banks, community outreach programs, social services to help divert our soon-to-be expired food from hitting the landfill. Pre-COVID, we had been working with local chefs, and we created this group of network, this network of chefs that took advantage of our distressed products towards their food production. So they would buy this distressed product at a fraction of the cost of our well-dated products. So this helped in return in minimizing their food costs, and it would help us reduce our shrink. So now that things are kind of opening back up in Alberta, this is an opportunity for us to reconnect with these chefs and build on our network. Another reuse principle that we've been focusing on since the beginning is partnering with local farms where they can use some of our distressed produce, like the leafy greens, the lettuce, the cabbage, the carrots, and root vegetables towards animal feed. I do have to mention, we do have an incredible warehouse team that's developed 2 innovative reuse principles to reducing our food waste. And that's the Cisco tape and the Pick Me First stickers. And on the merchandising side, sourcing more locally to reduce our carbon footprint. And also we now have an enhanced inventory management platform to managing procurement. So this new platform helps improve perishable purchasing, which will in turn result in less spoilage.
Could you share about like the Cisco tape and Pick Me First? How does it work? And
yeah, absolutely. So the Cisco tape is, so let's say we get a product that comes back to us from a customer. If the case is in good standing order and the product is not compromised in the case, we have our QA inspect it, and then we'll put a Cisco tape over it that says this has been QA inspected, and it can go back on the shelf for redistribution. And it's the same concept with Pick Me First stickers. It's again, if it's a case that's come back to us and it's in good condition and good condition internally and externally with the box not being compromised, we put a Pick Me First sticker, or the warehouse puts a Pick Me First sticker. So it's almost like FIFO, right? So that product can get shipped first as opposed to the other products that maybe were received at a later date.
And what are the challenges related to forecasting? Is it because I know it's always you can never forecast like exactly precisely. And I was wondering how you would basically enhance the accurate forecasting.
Yeah, I mean, especially during COVID, you know, how do you manage forecasting? How many of our restaurant partners are open? How many are doing takeout? Is takeout successful? So definitely our merchandising team and our purchasing team was relying on sales as communication to share information as to, you know, how much of this product are you still needing, you know, and just collaboratively working together to influence PO quantities from being placed. So with this new purchasing platform, it's going to help manage procurement. So it'll be more accurate forecasting, and then looking at trends and being able to and this in return is going to help reduce less spoilage.
Great. And what about your opinion about, do you see like the restaurant industry seeing this as an opportunity, or do you think there is still like some awareness to be done about this issue?
Yeah. So the priorities for restaurants right now. Yeah, I see the priorities for restaurants right now. You know, COVID has been such a challenge and a devastating effect on restaurants, with revenues falling almost to zero. I mean, never before have so many restaurants been forced to cease operations. So priorities, I would say, would be recovery and stability. And this would be in response to owners, I believe, pivoting on the way that they used to do things pre-pandemic, readjusting operating procedures. This could be towards inventory management, menu planning. End goal, I would say, minimizing loss and growing profits.
Great, thanks, Katya. And I know Cisco is also providing virtual class, namely about food costing. Could you tell us more about this?
Absolutely. So across Canada, we have business resource teams at each site that are educating our incredible restaurant partners on how they can combat food waste, as well as offering workshops on managing their food cost. So pre-pandemic, we would hold these workshops in person at our site in our test kitchens, but since the pandemic, we've been holding these virtually. So our resource team, I mean, we have incredible teams across the country, but I'll speak on our team here in Alberta. So we offer this virtual workshop named Food Cost Killers, whereby we cover 10 to 15 key elements that will hinder an operator from maximizing their revenue. And these topics range from poor forecasting production, improper calculation of actual food cost, not tracking your food waste or spoilage, not having a portion control system. And our customers have come back saying these workshops have helped them immensely in managing their spend and bottom line.
And what trends do you see in the restaurant industry right now, based on all your customers you're working with?
Well, with food and contact safety having been a high priority in the past year, I don't see this going away. Contactless ordering and delivery, I think, will remain, but maybe perhaps relying less on third-party providers and maybe having their own couriers. Diversifying revenue streams. So while enhancing experience to build better engagement and loyalty, they're going to be offering not only their traditional restaurant offering, but maybe expanding into, I don't know, a meal kit program or finding alternative ways to showcase their menu offering. And I would say the third trend that I see really growing is social engagement and community engagement. A strong online presence has been crucial this past year. Social media allows restaurants to keep in touch, and they build personal connection with their customers. It's the first place customers will go to search for a dining choice, right? So I could see operators engaging more with their customers via social media to enhance their value proposition, therefore winning more brand love. Another initiative I see is customers partnering and participating more in community events and organizations, giving back to the community. It's an initiative that I'm seeing a lot of restaurants that are using as an engagement strategy, but also in enhancing their own brand.
Thank you, Katya. Do you have anything else to share with us?
I do, yeah. I just wanted to share that if anyone is interested in seeing what one of these food cost workshops are, we do have one that we're going to be hosting tomorrow with our chef David and our resource consultant Ben Wiersma from Cisco, Alberta. So I'd be more than happy to share the link afterwards if anyone wanted to touch in and see what we do.
Thank you so much, Katya. It's great to have you share like all this experience among your restaurant,
Thank you for having me.
your customers. And I think I had a questions to share, like why do you, and that would be applied to maybe like all of you, why do you see a like kind of a slow pickup from the restaurant industry on this food waste and food surplus topic? Even if there are more and more, it still represents a small part of the whole restaurant industry. Like why is it so, like, yeah, so why does it take so much time to basically be more ambitious related to food waste and food waste prevention and food waste redistribution? I'd love to hear what all of you think about that.
I can start. I started earlier. I do think, and not to just blame this on government, but I do think that it would be, for most restaurant owners, most hotels and everything, it's all about regulations, and it's all about obviously bottom line, right? So without the regulation, without just like the same in France, where you're not allowed to throw out any food, surplus food. If we had something like that in Canada, I do believe it's going to take off quickly. But obviously, it's not just a government issue; it is also awareness. And I do think that, just like me, during COVID, there's a lot of people that have awakened, that kind of looked around and said, hey, listen, this is one of the things that we really need to be thinking about, especially all the people that are starving and all the people that have fallen under that poverty line because of the shutdown, and they've seen how worse that got. So I do think that it's starting to go. But yeah, I think that to answer your question, I think people are being more aware now so now it's just starting to pick up stream. But yeah.
Thanks, TJ. Michelle, do you want to share anything?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of restaurants, given that we're so new, some restaurants may not know that they have an option to donate their surplus food to an organization like us. There's just no awareness. But I think TJ, knows a lot more about sort of the internal workings of restaurants. We have talked to some chefs, and they say there actually isn't a lot of surplus in their restaurants. So I think maybe every restaurant's a little bit different. Yeah, we over the last year, we've had a lot of calls from restaurants when their restaurants unfortunately were closing down, where they had to move a lot of food at one point. And they were very grateful that we were able to come and help them with that large amount of surplus food when their restaurants were closing down. So that's where we've been able to really step in over the last 18 months to support restaurants.
Thanks, Michelle. Katya, do you have anything to share?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with my partners here, TJ and Michelle. I think awareness and I would say also education. I mean, you look at the thousands of restaurants that are operating. How many of them are Red Seal certified chefs that have studied portion control, how to manage your waste, how to do a food costing. A lot of restaurants are mom and pop concepts, right? So it's getting that education or seeking that education to say, okay, well, I've got food here that's a surplus. What do I do with this? So I'd say definitely awareness, knowing what platforms and resources to use when you do have food surplus, but how to avoid it in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Katya. And I would just add on this, like basically you only manage what you measure, and really start measuring what you have, because what I see, like many restaurant owners, they usually have a tendency to underestimate how much food is being wasted in their operations. And when you actually start measuring food waste, when you ask before implementing a food waste measurement, how much food waste is being generated in the restaurant, before and after, there is a gap of 3 to 8 times more actually. So it's just like on a day-to-day basis, one bin here doesn't seem much, but at the end of the year, it makes a lot of money. And that if you don't actually measure it, it's like if you're basically having a budget without having an accountant, kind of thing. So yeah, for me, I see like really be pushing for like more like data-driven decisions, not only like for the whole food waste generated and for the food donated to, and the benefit for the community is extremely important to make a change in the industry. Great, but thank you so much. Do you have a last word to say before we wrap up this webinar?
Thank you.
But thank you so much. It was a pleasure to have you and to hear from your different perspective and background, and don't hesitate to share the ambition. And it's great. Keep up the good work you're doing. It's great to make a difference, and looking forward to connecting later.